Hey folks, today we're going to visit about what impact anxiety has on one another as partners. We're Rebecca and Brad, partners in love and friends first. We've been married for 18 years and we're deciding to break things up.
So join us for some honest conversations about keeping it real in your relationships in the big and small moments so we can all create better relationships together. Okay, so the other day, in the middle, let me back up. As you know, if you've been watching any of our videos lately, we've been uncovering a lot of sort of deep-rooted things in our interactions and in our, well, I'll speak for me, and in my own like ways of viewing the world and my relationship with Rebecca. So to be specific, like uncovering places where I didn't even realize that I was being chauvinistic or sexist. The way we had organized our lives and our relationship, setting her up in the role of the maid, and these type of things. And so, I've been working hard to change that now that I'm become aware of it and do things that are more, supportive of like a more balance and being a real partners together, being friends together, and being a teammate. And so the other night, I woke up in the middle of the night and I started thinking, my mind kind of started racing, and I was feeling a lot of anxiety around that because it was like I started to worry, did I forget to do something? Is there some thing that I agreed to do around the house or in our relationship or with our kids that I forgot to do? And, am I going to get in trouble? And is she going to be upset because she thinks I'm not making the changes? And is it going to be a big deal? So this was sort of, this hamster wheel running in my head. And I was awake for a while and I'm like trying not to toss and turn because I don't want to wake her up. And, just this whole thing. And so then eventually I fell asleep after a long while. Woke up the next morning still feeling like that. And that morning we happened to have a relationship coaching session with our coach. And so when we started, it was like let me say this. So we woke up and we had this session coming up, but I still was feeling anxious, and I was just like trying to like play it cool, just like stuff that because, all these ideas like, oh, I shouldn't be anxious, or I know I'm just, being anxious because we're trying to make these changes, all these rationalizations and judgments about my feeling of anxiety. And so I kind of just sat in it and let it steep rather than, doing anything or saying anything about it. So then when we started to do our session, we were kind of just not really going anywhere with it. And our coach was like, what the heck is going on with you guys? You're like way out there, you're not present and all this stuff. And like who's
What's
got something,
happening?
like who has something going on that they're just not willing to say, or some problem that they're not willing to bring up in front of the other person. And I was like, well, I don't think this is it, but and so then I said all that, like I'm feeling anxious and this, and what we discovered in that is, or what I discovered, maybe it was obvious to everybody else there, the other two, I don't know, but what I discovered was that well, a few things, but one is that my feeling of anxiety and anxiousness that I was not doing anything to handle, that I thought I was just like stuffing down and keeping inside and like nobody else knew, was having a big impact on not only my own ability to be present, and gain value from our coaching session and just, life, but it was also having a big impact on Rebecca too, even though I didn't say a single word. And it's like, how would she even know? And it's just like realizing how much your intimate and close relationships pick up on those really subtle
So I'm
cues.
sitting in the session. I'm like, why am I feeling so nervous? I've been really practicing a lot of the things I've been talking about, and what's going on with him, and just not really consciously, but subconsciously, just feeling like something is really not okay. And being trained to codependency, I'm like, yeah, Brad's doing really well. And, I wanted to like sort of respond to his anxiety and make things better. And without even knowing what's happening. And that's something a good caretaker will do. But when we're trying to break away from codependency, you don't even, it's so important to like be distinct and purposeful and understand what's happening. So it was a funny interaction. You want to share more?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and just the simple like coming out with it, like, hey, this is what's going on. For me, it helped me start to like like take the cork off the bottle that was building up pressure, and to be able to start to diffuse some of that anxiety. Like, okay, I am, still like I am working on it. I am after it. I'm not going to be perfect because that was part of the anxiety. Is I was like holding myself to some perfection that I had to reach to be good enough, and so I was like able to just sort of let that go, and with some help from our coach and stuff, I was able to create a plan of what to do the next time so that I won't just sit around in that anxiety and also won't have this impact because in this case, Rebecca's here to share like, the impact it had on you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing, with our kids, they experience that stuff in us, and so this idea that you can be having an experience going on like I was with this anxiety and keep it hidden, and it's not going to affect everybody else and just like I'll just figure it out myself. It's just a big lie because it has profound impacts. We're
Yeah.
trained to like pick up on all these subtle cues of our partners, and as we're sort of working our way through becoming much more real people together. We can hold our own sovereignty in spite of that, but as we're still in the process of learning that and developing and growing in our partnership and friendship, it's going to have those impacts.
We're extremely impactful with one another. We don't even know why. Sometimes one of us will be walking on eggshells, sometimes the other one will be, and we don't always have it in our minds like what is happening. But even for me, like it could have been helpful to say, hey, are you feeling okay? Or
Yeah,
why? Or
right.
like weird, I feel strangely tense. What's happening here?
Uh-huh.
Even before the time we met with our coach.
Totally.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's identifying how it feels. Like, there's a lot of ways to do it. Like what
mhm.
thoughts you're having, how your body feels. If there's tension and like your shoulders, chest. And what like a big piece for me, what I was getting out of is that there's no gain. Like, there's nothing to gain, no value to get out of sitting in anxiety or walking around feeling anxious, like at all. And so, not to like ignore things, if there's something like really huge going on that you're avoiding and that's why you're feeling anxious, you can't just keep avoiding it. But as far as just operating in that anxiety, there's nothing to gain. And so, the job for me is to, when I notice it in the way it feels in my body, the way I'm having the thoughts, whatever they are, that keys me, signals that this is what's going on. It's like, okay, time to enact something. And so what
Mhm.
I put in place is on my phone, I have some lists, just right on my notes app of things that are true about me. So like a list of things that are real. Like, so when I'm rooted and in memory and, really clear about, my own value and who I am in the world, these are statements that I've made about what's really so, like I'm a caring, loving husband, I'm a good friend and a partner and
Mhm.
all these type of things. And then another list of things I've accomplished that I feel proud of in my life. And they don't have to be big things like, I made $1 million or I have this huge business or whatever. Though it could be those things, but also, I have, you know, a loving family with three wonderful, brilliant kids and things like that. And so then
Mhm.
when I start to notice that anxiety, I pull out my phone and I read through both of those lists and I consider, what I'm up to in life, what my purpose is, and read through those lists and then just sit and quiet and let that anxiety just kind of go. And then if that
Mhm.
doesn't work or do the whole job, then I do it again, read through each thing again, really consider each statement, and then sit in that in a quiet space and just allow it to leave again. And if that doesn't work two times through, then I know that means it's time to reach out to somebody who is very supportive. So, not just like, your buddy down the street or whatever, somebody who doesn't understand what you're up to, but like in my case, a relationship coach, or if she's not available, perhaps Rebecca, unless it's something that might trigger in a relationship. But I have people around me that understand and know what we're up to, what I'm up to, what my intent is in life. And so reaching out and just saying, hey, this is what's going on, and I need just to reach out to somebody. But the point is not to sit in the anxiety and just walk around in that, because it has a huge impact. It's like you're walking around and just like laying waste to your whole world. Not just yourself, but your relationships and your kids and all that stuff. And
And
so
no one even knows why.
Totally.
But everyone's feeling so bad, or
Right.
it feels like the boot's gonna drop. And
totally.
so many of us are trained to really be sensitive. Oh no, that's things are feeling tense. Just automatically start feeling tense. And so it's really helpful to get a handle on these things and really decide how to move with them in a way that doesn't take us down.
And right now, because of like COVID is still going on, and the presidential elections are coming up, and there's social and political unrest. There's a lot of stuff going on that could is raising the anxiety level. So
Right.
I imagine that there might be some of you that can relate to feeling waking up in the middle of the night feeling anxious, having this stuff go on. So comment below, hit the like button if you can relate to that.
Yeah.
And try out like what I suggested, or even comment like what you do that helps and works for
Yeah.
you. And because this is part of keeping it real, of being real people together, is really not just like spitting out like, oh, I feel anxious, and expecting the other person to deal with it, but
Right.
being upfront, being honest, and being real with yourself to know that not just hanging out in anxiety. You want to just continue to move forward and move on, and create the life that you want, that we want together.
And the anxiety then doesn't have the chance to rule.
Totally.
So here's to healthy, happy homes and more friendship moments, because we're not, under that thumb of anxiety.
Yeah,
So
totally.
cool.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications, share this with your friends, and we'll be back to share some more about keeping it real, being friends, and this journey we're on together.
All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye now.